Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Another week of basketball has come and gone. Another week of mediocre play from almost every single team in the NBA. But let's start with our power rankings, starting at the bottom of the tank for Victor Wembanyama, tank for Vic, boot for Scoot, whoever you're going to take with these top picks. Who is the worst team in the NBA? And it's got to be the Houston Rockets. And I've been toying with putting them down there. The Pistons have been playing really bad since they didn't have Cade Cunningham, but the Rockets at this point are just an atrocious franchise. It is embarrassing to watch their basketball games. And there comes a point when you're tanking that how bad do you really want to get? Because they have bona fide blue chip prospects on their team. Jabari Smith, Jalen Green, Tari Eason has been playing good. Alperen Şengün, a couple young veterans as well, like Kenyon Martin Jr. and Kevin Porter Jr. as well, who are both good in their own right. They have talent. They are NBA players. The fact that they're playing this bad and now they're starting to lose the locker room. I saw some reports that Alperen Şengün got frustrated and left the game early because he was done with Stephen Silas. I've been done with Stephen Silas for, it feels like the beginning of the year now. And it's just this team is not getting better at all. They're not even competitive in most games. And when they are, they somehow lose embarrassingly, where Dyson Nix plays the most minutes out of everybody else on the roster. So it's just gotten to the point where I think you need to make a move. And you do want that number one overall pick odds. You do want the chance to get Victor Wembanyama. At the same time, you don't want to ruin the guys that you have right now. And that's starting to look like Jalen Green is going to be a bust because of the coaching and the lack of success that he's being placed on. Jabari Smith just has looked horrible. The whole team outside of Alperen Şengün, you'd probably want to get rid of at this point. It's a little bit frustrating. As far as an NBA fan, I can't even imagine what the Rockets fans are feeling like. So they're going to fall down to the last spot in the NBA. Pistons jumping up a spot. Not anything they've done in particular. They play moderately competitive because they have a couple vets on their team. Alec Burks, Bojan Bogdanovic, Isaiah Stewart's been playing well. Jaden Ivey's been showing a lot of flashes. I think he's proven that he was one of the better prospects in last year's draft. But overall, just a really bad team, still missing Cade Cunningham. Hornets not going to move anywhere at 28, 11, and 33. Just a really bad record. I've been toying with putting them up because they are trying to win games. They just suck at it versus teams like the Spurs who are actively tanking. Devin Vassell is gone for however long. But for now, the Hornets are just an embarrassing franchise. Going to sit at 28th, which means the Spurs, even though they got blown out in front of 68,000 fans, all saying, who are those ants playing on the court? I'm so far away, I can't see. Who thought this was a good idea in the Alamo Dome? The Spurs are still going to hold steady at 27 just because they play competitively. I know they'll get blown out by 50, but then they'll play like the next 4 games and they'll be 1-2 possession games. So the Spurs are going to hold steady at 27th because they have a great coach in Greg Popovich. Magic, just another disappointing stretch of games, went 1-3 on the week, 26th spot. Just they've been at the top of this tanking tier, and it's frustrating because I thought they would put it all together. Markelle Fultz, their point guard, came back. Cole Anthony, their backup scoring fire starter, came back. Paulo Banchero's been great. Franz Wagner has been great. They just can't win games. It is what it is. They are 16-28, 12 games under 500, which is really, really, really upsetting because I thought they were going to make the playoffs. Jumping up a tier, and this is the tier of teams that have just been disappointing on the year. Got to start with the Washington Wizards, 18-25, and I think it's actually a good thing that they're starting to suck more so than normal because that means they might get a higher draft pick. That means they might pick in the top 5 instead of the top 10. That means they could get a Jaden Ivey instead of a Johnny Davis. You know, losing for the Wizards isn't always a bad thing. If they could just pick a freaking direction to go in, stop trying to win now, stop trying to lose now, stop trying to be mediocre, just pick a direction. Do you want to win or do you want to lose? And go for the fences, because right now they've been stuck in mediocrity. But this 18-25 record has them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th best odds to get a Victor Wembanyama on the team. Just saying. One spot ahead of them is the Toronto Raptors, and it's interesting since they have a winning or a positive point differential at plus 0.3 while they're 5 games under 500. As far as them, they play competitive. They have the capacity to win every single night, but their roster flaws are starting to show. They have too many players who are 6'9", can't really shoot all that well, do a little bit of everything. You know, a whole bunch of Larry Nance Juniors. How many games is that really going to win you in the regular season? Not a lot. At the same time, Masai Ujiri just loves this archetype of player. Pascal Siakam, Precious Achiuwa, Christian Coloco, Thaddeus Young, Kem Birch, Juan Hernan Gomez, Chris Boucher, Scotty Barnes, OG Anunoby. And then he has a couple short guys like Fred VanVleet and Malachi Flynn who can shoot. Gary Trent Jr. is like the one anomaly on this team. It's starting to show some flaws of the Masai Ujiri a roster construction. At the same time, I believe in Masai. I think he's one of the better GMs in the NBA. Same thing as Nick Nurse, even though he runs his players into the dirt, playing them 40 minutes a night in February. But the Raptors right now, similar to the Wizards, they just need to pick a direction. Are they going to go all in with this flawed roster, or are they going to trade Fred VanVleet and trade Pascal and try and recoup some draft capital and try again in the draft? Lakers going to fall down 3 spots, 19-24. Had a possible game winner against the 76ers, and they let Russell Westbrook take a horrible. It wasn't even a shot. It was an alley-oop. They've been really struggling. LeBron is old. He's going to put up incredible numbers, and he's not going to play all that much defense. The rest of the team is really bad. Thomas Bryant has come back down to earth. Russell Westbrook still averages triple-doubles, just coming off the bench now. And they need Anthony Davis. It's as simple as that. They've been really banged up. I think Austin Reeves is still out. Lonnie Walker was playing really good for them before he went down with injury. Of course, Anthony Davis. So they just need to get healthy, and maybe they can be a 500 team. Disappointing, I know, but that is the current max potential of this Los Angeles Lakers squad. Bulls as well, going to fall down 3 spots. I thought they turned a corner. I bumped them up a tier, and I was like, all right, the Bulls are going to make it. Lonzo Ball will come back midway through the season. Right? Lonzo, can he even run? What kind of running motion is this? They put out a tweet, and he's got this severe hitch in his run. They're like, all right, Lonzo's coming back. Totally. He's not done for the season, Bulls fans. Anyway, DeMar DeRozan is out with injury. They've been playing pretty good. Lost by 8 to the best team in the NBA. Boston Celtics lost by 3 to the Wizards, lost by 14 to the Thunder, and then beat the Golden State Warriors by 14. So they haven't been playing atrociously bad. I just thought they'd turn the corner, and they really haven't. And I don't think I've shouted him out, but Nikola Vucevic has been having a very good year for the Bulls. Turn around, because the last few years when he was on the Bulls, you're going, oh my God, they gave up so many first-round picks for this guy. And he dropped, 43 against the Warriors? Vooch has been good. They're still missing their starting point guard. Lonzo Ball isn't coming back. Going to be a tough stretch of games for the Bulls. And that is the end of the tier of the disappointing teams. The next tier is this what the f*** is the NBA tier, because there is just so much madness and insanity going on in these middling teams in the NBA. Teams 21 through, I'd probably say 8. You just have question marks up and down. Why are they underperforming? Why are they overperforming? Who are these teams? What is their identity? What moves are they going to make at the trade deadline to make that final push through the playoffs? Starting with the Jazz, going to jump up 2 spots. I won't lie. Last week when they were 20-23, I buried them. I said, you know what? The magic is over. It's all gone. Jordan Clarkson and Kelly Olynyk just don't have it anymore. And they've won a couple games. So good for them. Playing good basketball. I'm not going to, put them at the top. They're about a 500 team, maybe a 400 team at the end of the season. But overall, feel good story. Still playing good basketball. They play hard every single night. Gonna get the jump. They're at 21. Thunder as well, going to continue to climb up 2 spots. They started the season pretty bad. If you remember, they were in that taking for Victor Wembanyama tier when Chet Holmgren was out. Their lack of size was clearly an issue. And they've just said, you know what, screw it, heck it, we're going to shoot amazingly from 3. When they were in the beginning of the season competitive to the Lakers as being the worst 3-point shooting team in the NBA, Shea is just he said, I'm not going to take 3-point shots anymore. I'm just going to drive and get fouled a million times. Josh Giddey has decided to shoot to 3. Lou Dort has decided to shoot well from 3 as well. So, hey, the Thunder are going to continue to climb. I expect them maybe to break 500 soon, because they're just playing damn good basketball, beating everybody that comes in their way. 1 spot ahead of them is the Atlanta Hawks. Picked up a couple wins, going to put them up 2 spots. I don't trust them. This is why they're in that what the fuck is the NBA tier. They're flawed. Trae Young is having just so many rumors go around top to bottom. They're saying, does he want to be in Atlanta? Are they going to trade him away? Does anybody want Trae Young? Nobody likes to play with Trae Young. Is John Collins going to get traded? Playing with Trae Young is tough, and it is what it is. This is their bed. They've made it when they traded away Luka Doncic for Trae Young, and they got, Cam Reddish in the trade as well. Welcome to the Atlanta Hawks, the severely flawed team. Fire Nate McMillan. 1 spot ahead of them is the Golden State Warriors. Going to fall down a spot. Just been a really rough stretch of games. And they got Steph Curry back, so theoretically they're healthy, but just everything is going wrong for this Warriors squad. Development is going wrong. Performance is going wrong. That said, they are the defending NBA champions, so we do have to give some respect to their name when the playoffs come around. I don't expect them to be a casual first-round exit like the Kings or the Blazers. I expect them to be more competitive once the games, actually matter. Ahead of them, though, is the Phoenix Suns, continuing to fall as well. 2 more spots without Devin Booker, and they're just playing really ugly basketball. It's uglier than we expected effort-wise. I thought the Suns would put up a little bit more of a fight. They just don't have their dog in them. DeAndre Ayton, who was playing exceptional at the beginning of the year, has shown that he cannot sustain giving a shit about basketball. So I think their window is closed. We all knew that they were going to struggle when Devin Booker went out with injury, and I was predicting that they were going to struggle even with Devin Booker because I think it is time to go in a different direction for the Phoenix Suns. I think they were competitive for a couple seasons, had their chance to win a championship, and then they blew it. One spot ahead of them is the Portland Trailblazers, and I got to say, I actually went to their first game against the Dallas Mavericks, the first of their back-to-back, and Damian Lillard was great, of course, but a few takeaways from these games, and this is more Mavericks than Blazers, but first of all, Damian Lillard took the refs to the nicest PF Chang's in Portland because they were getting every single call. The refs were absolutely ridiculous. Like Spencer Dinwiddie caught a jump ball on a driving player. He grabbed the ball while they were trying to Euro step, and they call it a foul on Spencer Dinwiddie. JaVale McGee gets his shot blocked. It's not a jump ball. Put those 2 thumbs up. No, it's 99% of the time somebody goes up and comes back down after getting blocked. It's a jump ball. No, this one was just a block. It is what it is. I don't care. A couple of drivers would just launch themselves into a mostly stationary Dwight Powell. They would just throw their bodies at him and then kind of try to throw up some sort of shot. And it's a foul. Free throws. Other takeaways. Luka is fat. Holy crap. He's just a big chub of lard out there on the court. He barely hustles up and down, and he complains the entire game. Anytime he goes down, it takes him 47 seconds to get up and get to the other side of the court. And that's got to be tough for his teammates because they almost act like they don't notice it. They go, oh, what? Luka's down? It's all right. We'll play hard anyways. Like, they play well. They play with effort in spite of Luka Doncic, which is not what you want to see from your superstar. You want your guy to lead the way in effort. You want your guy to be a Kobe Bryant, a Giannis who says, I'm going to outwork everybody. And Luka just kind of, he just complains, and he's slow and lazy, lackadaisical. I don't want to say he's not an exceptional athlete because he plays in the NBA, but it's got to be frustrating when you go to those games and you just see Luka not giving a shit. Dinwiddie was just a mercenary. He handles his business, plays tough. He doesn't have too many emotions. The refs will screw him over a couple times. He'll complain, but overall, Spencer was impressive. And the first game of the back-to-back with the Blazers, where the Blazers blew out the Mavs, was just a really low-effort game. The only energy I saw from the court was Gary Payton locking down Luka full court with an injured groin, I might add, and then Josh Hart. Otherwise, it was just a whole bunch of guys earning millions of dollars, going out and throwing a ball into a spherical hole. And I gotta say, Luka played the worst game of his career, probably. The one game that I went to, spent hundreds of dollars on a ticket, ended up at the Blazers game, and Luka scored 7 points in the first half. 15 points for the whole game. It was just a horrible game to watch top to bottom. So I gotta say, I'm disappointed. But you do get to see some things that you don't see when you're on TV. Like with Jason Kidd, I was so frustrated because I was watching Chauncey Billups. He's just a professional. Is he a great coach? No, but I think he's a fairly decent one. At least league average, if not slightly above. Jason Kidd is not. This dude he's milquetoast when it comes to coaching. I see no passion for the game, no emotion. He barely calls plays, and he doesn't even stand. Now, when it comes to the NBA, standing doesn't make a head coach good, but a good coach you'll see is always standing. And this dude is just sitting around while their players are like, all right, so the game was a blowout in the fourth quarter. They were putting in the G League guys. The Blazers had like Greg Brown, Trendon Watford, Shaedon Sharpe, Keon Johnson, just the young guys in. Probably not going to earn too many minutes this season, but they have potential down the road to actually contribute to their team. While the Mavericks had their horrible roster of Theo Pinson and AJ Lawson. God, who else was on the court at that time? McKinley Wright, Jaden Hardy. The young guys who probably shouldn't be on an NBA roster. Chauncey Billups was still up there standing, analyzing. When the Mavs went on like a 2 or 3 basket run, he called a timeout like it was an actual game. He was like, hey, this is not how we play Blazer basketball. While Jason Kidd was just sitting, he was talking to his assistant coaches. He wasn't even watching the game. It was just... Jason Kidd needs to go, period. I'm sick of this offensive system that they run. Anyway, that's a Mavericks problem. As for the Blazers, they played some damn good basketball, blew out the Mavericks twice. I'm not going to move them up any spots, but, when Damian Lillard is healthy, when the whole team, top to bottom, is healthy, they got something going here. Damian Lillard at the 1, Anthony Simons at the 2, Josh Hart at the 3, Jeremy Grant at the 4, Yusuf Nurkic at the 5. They're not a bad roster. They just aren't world beaters, which is why it's a little frustrating when you're saying this is their soft rebuild. They're going to go all in with this roster. Well, all in means probably a second round exit at best. Anyway, enough talking about the Blazers. Let's talk about the Timberwolves. Going to jump up 3 spots into this 15th seed, 22-22, reached that 500 mark finally. And I want to like the streaking Wolves right now. I really do. They're doing all of this without the elephant in the room, Karl Anthony Towns, arguably their best player. And they're going to be doing this without the big question mark of how does the Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns double big lineup work? Because if they're going to win with the roster as presently constructed, giving up their future for Rudy Gobert, you got to play Rudy and you got to play Cat and you got to play them together. So I'm going to keep waiting before I bump the Wolves up into this championship tier. I'm going to keep waiting until they get a little depth on their team. I'm going to say the Wolves are playing really good basketball now with an asterisk. When Karl Towns comes back, what do the Wolves play like? Pacers going to fall down one spot here at the 14th seed. I mean, no Tyrese Haliburton, their best player. It is what it is. They're going to be going through a rough stretch of games. Hallie was either a 1 or a 1A to Miles Turner. He was playing at an all-star level, and this stretch is going to test how good their point guard depth is. Is Andrew Nembhard a bona fide backup caliber or better point guard? What is TJ McConnell's worth to the team? Tyrese Haliburton is lost for a couple weeks, but the season is not because the Pacers have been playing pretty good team basketball at this point. Heat as well, speaking of team basketball, going to jump up. They're 24-20 on the season. Who would have expected the Heat are 4 games over 500, starting to get into this tier of actually good basketball teams? Now, they still need to make a few moves, get some better depth on this team, get Jimmy Butler a little bit more help. But hey, 4 games over 500, you got to take that if you're a Heat fan. 12th spot is the Clippers, and I don't know what to say. They're starting to debut point Terrence Mann now that John Wall is out. Reggie Jackson going to be running the 2s. And we'll see how that plays out. He's been playing pretty good basketball on both sides of the court. Can actually play defense, unlike half the Clippers squad. They're 1 game over 500, and they still don't care about the regular season. Go Clippers. Mavericks going to fall down 2 spots because they had a really embarrassing stretch of games against Portland back-to-back, and they just got completely blown out. I don't know what else to say. I said my spiel about the game that I went to. The Mavs are hugely disappointing. If Christian Wood, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Luka Doncic aren't all healthy and all playing good basketball, this team is going to have problems. That's why they're only 24-21, despite having MVP caliber players on their team. And that is the end of this tier of what the fuck is the NBA tier. Now, I got one more tier of the good, not great tier. Only 2 teams here, starting with the Kings, 6 games over 500, 24-18, just really impressive. Going to jump up 1 spot because of the Mavs come down. They're just playing good, top to bottom, fundamental basketball. Everybody has their role. De'Aaron Fox is their stud point guard. Domantas Sabonis is going to put up ridiculous 20, 18, and 15 numbers. Kevin Huerter can shoot. Malik Monk can shoot. Keegan Murray is just the most efficient, consistent 12 points a night you're ever going to see. Harrison Barnes dropped 30 randomly. I mean, they're just a good, well-coached team. Everybody plays hard. Everybody plays well. The Kings are playing good basketball, unlike the rest of the NBA, who probably are more talented, but aren't as efficient and aren't as fundamentally sound. So the Kings going to hold steady here at this 10 seed. Knicks as well going to jump up a spot because of the Mavs come down, and the Knicks are just playing damn good basketball. The only thing is they try to lose games on purpose. I don't know what it is. They just have ridiculous shooting and ridiculous turnovers come fourth quarter. If they didn't have Jalen Brunson to save them from themselves, they would be under 500 because they are just the worst at closing games. I don't know how to explain it. Luckily, they do have a Jalen Brunson who should be making an all-star case. I completely forgot about him when we were making our all-star selections. But JB turned this franchise around, has him playing good basketball. I think he certainly deserves to be maybe a reserve all-star in this upcoming all-star game. And that concludes the tier of good, not great, because this next tier is teams that I think are legitimate title contenders. And that's going to be starting at the bottom with the Bucks, continuing to struggle, continuing to not have Chris Middleton, who's out with like a knee injury now. I think he missed the first half of the season with a wrist injury. Now it's the knee bone's connected to the hip bone. And I'm being a bit hyperbolic here. I understand that. But until Chris Middleton comes back, this team will go as far as Drew Holiday will take them. You know what I mean? Like, Giannis is the greatest role player ever. He plays his butt off. He goes up and down, dunks the ball all the time, plays defense, dives for loose balls, whatever. But Giannis can't shoot. So in the fourth quarter, when they need a bucket, they go to Drew Holiday. And sure, they'll do a Drew Holiday Giannis screen, and Giannis's gravity will pull everybody, blah, 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 blah. But if they need a bucket, it's got to be from Drew Holiday. That's it. And until Chris Middleton comes back, and who knows what the hell is going on with that injury, they're struggling. It is what it is. And struggling for the Bucks is 27-16, 11 games over 500. So it's not, oh my God, it's the end of the world. Just wait for Chris to come back. And I think the team has good enough depth. I like everybody else on the roster. Javon Carter has been playing pretty good basketball. Grayson Allen, Pat Connaughton. They got rid of Dante DiVincenzo, which I disagreed with, but brought in Joe Ingles. Bobby Portis always going to play great. Brook Lopez, even Serge Ibaka can give you 2 minutes a night. They just need, their third of their big three or their first of their big three to come back from injury. And I don't know when that's going to happen, if it'll even happen. He's got the same timeline as Lonzo Ball does at this point, as when he comes back, great. Otherwise, we're going to have to move forward without him. Pelicans also going to fall down a spot, down to 7th. They're just playing without their 2 best players. I don't know what else to say. When Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson are healthy, the Pelicans are the best team in the West. So when is that going to happen? One spot ahead of them is the Brooklyn Nets, kind of similar as well. Playing without KD, they just don't have a bite. Kyrie Irving is not good enough to be a number one. It's been proven time and time again. Ben Simmons is trash. They need their Hall of Fame Kevin Durant to come back and be exceptional. Otherwise, they're going to be probably a little bit over a 500 team, maybe with their good defense that they play, but their offense, it just struggles to get anything going, especially when Kyrie goes to the bench. Holy crap. I've never seen a team struggle so much when Kyrie Irving isn't on the court. 76ers going to jump up 2 spots because of these teams struggling. They're healthy. They're playing pretty okay, and they still lose games that they shouldn't. Fire Doc Rivers, get in a good head coach, and maybe they can go on for a championship. They're going to have to figure out their depth. They need another big wing. They need a DeAndre Hunter-sized big forward to play the backup roles or take over when PJ Tucker is too short or Tobias Harris needs to sit, because they're just missing a little bit of depth on their team. Defense is always going to be an issue with the Tyrese Maxey, James Harden backcourt, and now it's starting to rear its ugly head in games that it shouldn't. That said, still playing good basketball. Joel Embiid's an MVP. James Harden's an all-NBA player. They got a good, top-heavy roster. Figure out some of the depth issues. Figure out why Doc Rivers is still a head coach. And they could compete for a championship. Look, I picked them at the beginning of the season to win it all. They have the capacity to do so. Will they is the question. Cavs here at number 4. I'm only dropping them down a spot. I know people want the Cavs to fall farther than they do in my power rankings. They just have a great win differential plus 4.5. They've been playing good basketball. Donovan Mitchell is capable of going off for 70. I'm just a little worried about Evan Mobley's lack of development. I saw Evan Mobley fail to post up and score on Luka Garza, and it showed all the things wrong with his development to this point. He doesn't shoot well, 90% from 3. He's not really a facilitator, not a post scorer. All he does right now is offer you defensive versatility as a 4-5 hybrid, which isn't really what you expect from a top 3 pick who I was making Kareem Abdul-Jabbar possible upside with his versatility, with his ability to switch on defenders, with his incredible athleticism, and he's just been, a guy who can't shoot. Now it's not doom and gloom. It's only his 2nd season, and you have no idea how good an NBA player is actually going to be until like year 4 or 5. The NBA prime is around 26 to 30, so there's a long way to go in Evan Mobley's career. I'm just a little bit worried, but it feels like if he gets good, or if Darius Garland takes that next step that he showed last season, they have all the pieces. Donovan Mitchell can be that dude, as we've seen. They got a whole bunch of good veterans like Dean Wade and Kevin Love and Chetty Osman, and they have their star players, Jared Allen, Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley. If just one player takes that next step, I feel like they're in the same tier as the Celtics. They're just not quite there yet. Maybe it's JB Bickerstaff, but I think this Cavs team is really good. That's why I still have them as a top 4 seed. Of course, we finally have the Western Conference teams coming up, and it's between the Nuggets and the Grizzlies. And I personally just have the Grizzlies 1 spot behind the Nuggets. They're finally getting healthy. Desmond Bane is back. Ja Morant is putting highlight dunks down. Holy crap, Ja Morant. That said, I think this team is flawed with Ja Morant as their 1 because he's not a great shooter. He's been proven time and time again when he needs to close games, it's not great. Desmond Bane still needs to work his way back from injury. He's not an all-NBA player. He's not, a generational LeBron James. He's a pretty good player that's going to play his role, get you buckets, shoot 40% from the 3-point line. I feel like this team is 1 piece away from winning a championship. That said, the rest of the NBA is flawed, so this team as presently constructed can win. The question is, will they? And will Ja stay healthy enough for them as well? Because he's been missing quite a few games, but they have got incredible depth. Tyus Jones as a backup point guard is like the best thing ever. He's a starting point guard on probably 10 other teams. They got good players, but the Nuggets going to hold steady at 2 here, continuing their win streak. They've been playing great basketball. That's it. I mean, Nikola Jokic, MVP season again. I hope he doesn't get the MVP because I think we need to contribute defense into the MVP ratings finally, and he's just horrible on defense. Not as bad as Luka, who's just a freaking traffic cone that people walk around. Holy crap. Watching him try to hedge on screens was embarrassing. But he's pretty bad. He got yammed on by Bol Bol. But Michael Porter Jr. is back. He's been unimpressive. Jamal Murray has been that dude. He's been incredible. Aaron Gordon, people are calling an all-star. Can you believe it? KCP, Bones, Highland, Christian Brown. I mean, they got a good team. I don't love everything that they're doing. I think Mike Malone makes some head-scratching rotations. Like, why is DeAndre Jordan still an NBA player? But they just playing good. 30-13, you can't argue with that. And I'm going to finally put one tier between the Celtics and the rest of the NBA. I think they finally deserve it. They're not better than the rest of the NBA, but they're more consistent than the rest of the NBA, if that makes sense. Because Jaylen Brown, capable of going off for 40 every night. Jason Tatum, MVP candidate year. Great depth. Brought in Malcolm Brogdon. That's just been a godsend. Marcus Smart always plays good. Al Horford, Robert Williams is back and just blocking everything. And I think the Celtics are officially the best team in the NBA, better than everybody else by a small margin. Not a, oh my God, this is a super team, but they're definitely better than everybody else, more consistent, night in, night out. And that is going to do it for these Week 14 Power Rankings. Let me know what your thoughts are, what you agree with, what you disagree with, and I'll catch you in the next one.